And it's fine. I mean, we'll just chit chat. Where are you pinging Jack?
Substack directly, Substack DM, and I'm sending you, copying. I don't know if I could forward this. Yeah, if you can send me the link to the StreamYard, the join link for StreamYard, then I can ping it directly. But also I'm just like DMing him directly on Substack.
Okay.
Okay, I've just added you as admin.
Sweet.
Oh,
that works.
And I had the
Yep, and I am live on Twitch and Substack on my end as well.
Okay, perfect. Let me check me out. Okay, yeah, we're live.
All right.
So I will. Live video has ended. What?
What?
That's crazy. Join now. Accept. The invite is no longer available.
That is so weird.
What the heck?
That's not good.
No. Well,
it says Tig is live.
Yeah, I'm live.
Okay. Well, that's good. Well,
I'll just go to Tig. It says Tig is live.
Okay, let me go to Tig's. And
hooray for backup streams.
Yeah.
Yeah, no kidding.
I guess that's the reason why we should do that. Let me see. Still no Jack.
Oh, reloading the page. Is still no Jack.
That's all right. We could just cancel tonight too. I mean,
yeah. I mean, if you guys aren't feeling well, that's understandable.
But
yeah, I mean, if we don't have a guest, I mean, we could always ask someone in the chat if they want to come on.
Yeah.
Yeah, or
hi, Kimmy.
Oh, Kimmy's here. Hello.
Hey, Kimmy. I'm still trying to find Tig.
Intent versus impact. That's a big one, but actually, I got an idea. Even if we don't have a guest this time around, we could do like a Q&A. We could just do like a chat Q&A, honestly.
Oh, yeah, that would
work, right?
Yeah.
Because like intent versus impact, it's like we're not interviewing a guest this time around, and even so, Jack has been on the show before, so if he shows, it's okay. But if not, that's also okay too. Because like the intent versus impact Q&A, that's still chat worthy.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay.
Okay.
Right, I got my all right, mute. There we go. Okay, so Q&A rocks. Kimmy concurs with that statement.
Right on. I'm going to go ahead and step backstage and then get tuned into your Substack, and I'll just be in the chat on the other side.
No problem.
Okay. I'll see you guys later.
I should still do the disclaimer.
Oh, yeah. I did put it in the comments.
Yep, and I got it saved on my my little notepad here, so even perfect. Just in case.
All right.
All right, we got Kimmy and me.
Kimmy
and me. I'll soon be there. Okay, I'm gonna jump backstage. All right.
Sweet.
All right. Feel better, Sushi.
All right, and then so hello everyone. We're gonna give it a couple minutes, or we're gonna because we're about 5 minutes in, but the Q&A is flexible, so let's give it a few more minutes. Sushi, if you want to do us a favor and just restack a little bit for the live, because I didn't promote that much on here. people know we're here. And in the meantime, while we're waiting for people to come up and the chat to fill up a little bit, we're going. Neuro, actually, you want to just spur up some questions for intent versus impact, because that would be like a nice little Q&A.
I did not have a contingency for this scenario on the spot here.
I know, yeah, but even so, just like you could just we could just write up some questions real quick.
A lot of us don't know intent versus impact, right?
Yes.
Impact is the actual effect of the thing that you do. Intent is maybe different than the outcome. So you might mean well, but end up being harmful anyways.
Yeah.
Do you want to expand on that, Tig?
Sure, I can expand on it. Intent versus impacts. And I think actually this is something that's been swirling around my brain a lot recently. I think there is this it kind of goes into this larger discussion. Well, the core question is, before we get into intent versus impacts, this is the question I'm going to put into the ether. Why do the right thing? The default answer for a lot of people would give is because I'm a good person. And if you don't know what doing the right thing is, you think, okay, what would a good person do? And I'll do that. That must be the right thing. The problem is that this is where it gets into intent versus impact, is because when you try to, when you don't really know what the right thing is, or what your gauge of, if your gauge of doing the right thing is based on what a good person is, you kind of go into this definition of, well, what is a good person? What does that look like? And for me, that's kind of been a little fascinating, because I've been in the midst of like studying, and not just in my therapy, but also like for my essays and stuff like that. And really just trying to dig in and try to figure out where is the line between where's the line between an idea and a practice? Because if your action is based on an intent, then the intent is like, okay, I want this idea of creating a certain the intent is to have a certain outcome. That is the hope. That is the intent. But if the impact strays so far away from that, and nobody's really sure why, it's like, well, how did we get here, and where is that disconnect happening? Because it gets to the point where you can start to see these patterns occur. Because on one hand, this is something that I've seen over and over again. Like, say, like for like bullying in school or something like that. If you're so like, well, we have no tolerance for bullying, so we have zero tolerance bully policy. So if your zero tolerance bullying is that if you are caught, if two people are fighting with each other, regardless of who started it, they're both going to be either suspended, expelled, etc. That's what zero tolerance. So, and you would think like, oh, okay, so if we just make everyone suffers from bullying the same way, if we enforce this consequence of expulsion, suspension, etc., then that will just stop the problem outright. If you say it's wrong, then if you declare this is what happens to people, then you learn from the consequence of your actions that this is a negative consequence, and you just won't fight anymore. In theory, that sort of makes sense, but in practice, not really. in practice, it kind of gets a little bit murky, because what victims of bullying often learn from that is like, oh, if I'm going to be punished regardless, then I'm not holding back. That results in like zero tolerance policies for bullying actually become kind of factories for kamikaze victims in a way. It's very, very dangerous very, very quickly, because if the outcome is the same regardless of whether you started it or did something wrong or did something to bring this on, then what's the point?
Alternatively, the effect could be the person who is protecting themselves or fighting back decides to never fight back and never, as a result, never self-advocate.
Yeah. And that takes a toll on someone's internal. It just eats away you internally, and just makes not just that. It doesn't just eat away to your confidence and self-esteem. It isolates you, and it prevents you from interacting with other people. It honestly is a lot more damaging internalized. You just start collapsing internally, and it gets to the point, and it all starts with this idea, well, we don't want bullying is bad, so we want to stop it. But the means of an execution of how that policy operates is a completely different conversation than the intent, than the idea and the agreement that bullying is bad. And I think that's kind of where it gets in like into the weeds a little bit, because in order to differentiate between intent and impact, you have to first differentiate between idea and practice. And this was an interesting one because, like, in order to like, yeah. So differentiating between an idea and a practice. So Neuro, you actually spent some time in the eastern part of the world. So in terms of like what you said, in terms of like your experience in academia or anthropology, I want to hear your thoughts on this. What is the there is a pattern of where like ideas of like morality come from in a cultural sense, correct?
Yes. Morality is definitely has cultural particularities. And China's, I mean, there's a lot that overlaps the same, right? Like don't kill people, don't steal, etc.
Yeah.
But then you get down to, well, they have thousands of years of authoritarianism in their culture. So it's really ingrained in day-to-day life and family life and school life, like corporal punishment's legal there. And that was something that was, I wasn't required to deliver corporal punishment, so I didn't. And I was also in charge when I was in class. So whatever I said goes. So
exactly. And there was
like lend me the authority. And so I didn't allow any belittling or hitting of my students. Sometimes that got me in trouble because I had a co-teacher who would verbally and sometimes physically abuse my students, and he wouldn't listen, and I would lay into him verbally about it. And in my second job particularly, that got me pay cuts sometimes, but I kept doing it.
You kept doing it anyway.
And
yeah, because like and it also like because you know that there's like, this is why corporal punishment doesn't really work. It doesn't have the impact behind the intention. It almost never does. You can't like and even then like authoritarian and that kind of like, this goes in like the parenting styles and attachment styles, like the whole because I said so thing goes out the window when immediately you say, when you the moment you ask why.
Yeah,
it immediately goes out the window. And I think that like I mean, not just I think, but there's a lot of history behind this, especially in regards to like Western periods of morality, because this whole like, we don't like here in the United States, we don't really have that much of a history of authoritarianism in the States. We don't have that much experience with it. However, we do have this really strong problem with patriarchal imperialism and this idea of benevolent control, benevolent high control groups. It's like, oh, like it's kind of a bit more insidious in a way, because the because I said so thing just goes out the window immediately, because you never really get to the point of asking why when you're surrounded from birth. It's like, oh, this is all that I know, and the alternative is death, damnation, etc., etc. You know, there is this default. It's a different kind of strategy it's a different form of authoritarianism in a way. It's because like on one hand you're like, oh, so this is beautiful, this is what we have, but if you don't want it, there's always the alternative, burning for eternity and stuff like that. So they pose any other alternative as to what you have and right in front of you as worse than death itself. And that's kind of like that's scariness and that terror that comes into it. It doesn't reinforce the because I said so thing. It kind of creates a trap around it. And it's weird if you think about it. It's a bit weird if you think about it that way, because the moment someone asks why is when they look out and see that the hellfire either isn't there or is not what it was as described. It is the Western, like a Western, like authoritarian, like Western high control groups, I find is very much dependent on the ignorance of what is outside of what you know. You have to be completely isolated from everything in order to stay within that high control group, because the moment you walk outside and see that, oh, this is not the case at all, the whole illusion evaporates. And it's always like really, really terrible and really scary. But I've kind of boggled my mind to think about, like, wait, if the intent was behind, what is the intention behind all of this? Do they genuinely believe they're doing the right thing, or do they genuinely believe what they're doing is some kind of benevolence? The abuse that they're carrying out on people is some kind of kindness? And that's honestly where it gets in the weeds. That's what I'm trying to figure out.
I would like to give an example of how one of my intentions turned out to be harmful as a teacher in China. And it's also one of those things that sort of like made me think about surveillance a lot, because China's mass surveillance, and we're just about there to their level. Anyways, so there were, of course, like videos in the classrooms, every classroom and stuff. And if not for that, I would not have known that my perception was off. But I peripherally saw what I saw was not what happened. What I saw was this larger kid shove a smaller kid on the floor. And I got upset with him and, told him like that was not okay. And he got like defensive and argumentative with me. And I thought he was just being kind of difficult. So I'm like, okay, I'm just going to walk into the office. You can like chill out there. And I did. And he ended up crying his eyes out. And other faculty were looking at the video. And my supervisor ended up telling me before the class was even over, she's like, have you come aside and stuff. And she said, watch the video. And what really happened was he was trying to help the other kid tie his shoes, and the kid fell. That's what they caught on video. And if not for that video, I would have never known that I was wrong and like how much I like harmed that child.
Yeah.
And I felt really horrible, and I was really apologetic. And I said, I made a mistake. I'm sorry. I'm really glad the video and I was totally wrong. And I'm sorry I didn't believe you.
Yeah, but even so, and that really just like, and I could see how that something like that happened if you didn't see the video as to what happened. Like, oh, you would immediately like, oh, then more cameras is a good thing. But even then, there are flaws that can be put in place, because especially like something like a lot of people don't realize in the States that we are so surrounded like with smartphones and everything, is that security cameras, like the design, the actual devices themselves, aren't necessarily 100% capable of recording audio by default. Not all CCTV cameras can record audio by default. So the security footage that we have in the States, especially I'm in New York, we have very strict wiretapping laws and everything like that. The audio is never guaranteed, if at all. So what you can see on a security camera isn't always a whole picture either. And that's where things get like very, very, it's not always so one or the other, because on one hand, that security camera like really cleared up the situation with that student you were working with. It could have been really, really terrible. And I'm sure like being able to reflect on that, seeing that from a different perspective was important. On the other hand, if you're trying to investigate something like verbal harassment on a school, and all you see is a kid just wailing another kid in the face, and you don't know that kid being hit in the face has been telling the quote unquote assailant to that any number of triggering offense, any number of verbal harassment, any number of purposeful psychological damage that was going on beforehand, you're going to see that this kid, the assailant, is mentally unstable and should be drugged or whatever the hell. It's not always 100%. I think there's even if the intent is to bring safety, that's the appeal of like surveillance technology on it. Oh, it's like if we can see everything around us, it makes it safer, but that's not always the case.
Had audio too.
Yeah, it's different tech. It's different tech.
Yeah. So like it made me think a lot about surveillance. Like, in what instances is it okay? And in what instances is it not? Because before that happened, I was kind of like anti-surveillance in classrooms. And then after that happened, I was like, well, that held me accountable. Even though I didn't mean to be harmful to that kid, I was.
Exactly. And it's the tricky part as to where the line begins and where the line ends, because on one hand you have like, if the audio is there and the footage is there, it can hold bad actors accountable. On the other hand, if the assumption that, this camera is 100%, but the audio was not there, or the perspective is off in some way, it can be weaponized in a way that can cause very serious harm as well.
Yep. It is very possible for a very clever person to skew perception.
Yeah, or not even a clever person. I mean, as long as you have like good communication skills and people around you don't know the difference, that's not hard to do.
It's actually happened to me before too.
Yeah.
Before I was like more in tune socially, and I like missed a lot of social cues. It was well before I was ever diagnosed with neurodivergence, but it was something that really gave me a lot of social issues for a long time until I was actually in grad school. Like some of it I was able to kind of figure out, but I still had a lot of problems. And then when I took linguistic pragmatics, that was when I started realizing, like, oh, that's why people are getting annoyed with me, you know.
Yeah. Oh my God. I was always isolated in that regard, but my Hail Mary was, get this, theater, improv, and like improv theater and magic, like stage magic. Because I knew that like masking as like a normal person would be nearly impossible for me. However, magic tricks still worked on neurotypical people. So I may not be able to like mask as a normal person and blend into the background, but I could still work the room and be phenomenal with it if need be. Because you think about it, I mean, what is stage magic in a way? It's like 2 parts aura, like 1 part gadgets. And that's pretty much all it is. Like if you understand how these pauses work, if you can see it as a science, then you could easily like recreate something magical and remarkable in a way. That's kind of what marketing is. It's all bullshit, but it's how you shovel it that matters.
Hey, Tig, Kimmy says she wants to interview both of us.
Oh my God, that'd be great, Kimmy.
Invite her on.
Yeah, we can. Yeah, I mean, yeah. Yes, we can. Yes, we shall invite Kimmy on.
Okay.
Sushi thoughts.
Oh wait, this is your live stream. I think you would have to invite her, and then I don't know how to get her onto. Oh wait, Kimmy, I will send you a link. That's right.
Yeah, Sushi got it. Sushi got it.
Oh, she's doing it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Not today though. All right, fair. Okay, that's what I thought. But yes, Kimmy, we will have to make a date for this. This is interesting stuff.
So I was just thinking about intent, impact, and accountability. Right?
Yes.
And when you realize you did something wrong, accountability is how you move toward repair, right? Instead of being like, oh, but it wasn't my fault because this, or you know, trying to like shift the blame in any ways.
Yeah,
and that was something I had to learn because I grew up in kind of I grew up in a small town, and it wasn't every adult in my life, but there were enough adults in my life where, you know, if there was any like wrongdoing and whatnot, it didn't like, you kind of just didn't want to be responsible because of the backlash. The consequences were inappropriate. Yeah. And you know, it took me a while to like be like, okay, you know, actually just owning the error and trying to do better says more to the character than trying to hide the fact you were wrong in the first place. And I had to learn that as an adult.
Yeah, and that's honestly, and on the flip side, it's very like that on its own is great, but it could also like be undercut and weaponized in that same regard. It's like taking accountability for oneself is always important, but like this is honestly the definition that I actually found really important, because the definition accountability is taking ownership over an outcome, while responsibility is taking ownership over an action.
Okay.
So like in a way, like you can take you so it in terms of like okay, this was an example I can give for this. Okay, so here's a good one. So when I was dorming for a while at college number 1, the 4-year school I was going to for a while, my first housing situation was horrible. And honestly, I can't exactly blame them. I can understand why she was this aggressive, why this person was this, frankly, just plain abusive and hostile and impossible to please. Essentially, she was abused earlier on the semester. She had a lot of things going on herself, but the word accountability was said over and over, like take accountability, take accountability, take accountability. No matter how many times I the kitchen was clean. Okay, that's fine. I applied. I cleaned the kitchen. It still wasn't good enough. Take accountability. And it was almost like, all right, so what exactly is the issue here? Like clean the kitchen, everything's in order, and that's when I realized it wasn't really an issue. The kitchen was not the issue here. The kitchen was not the focus of the frustration. The focus was me. The focus was I was in a situation where I was in a living situation where I was not welcomed. I was not wanted. I was not appreciated. And it boggled my mind for a while because this person did everything in her power to make sure that I knew that and make sure that I knew that I was worthless. I was a quote unquote disgusting child, as she put it, and that I didn't deserve college at all. And she made that very clear. And I realized at that point that what she wanted was not accountability for the actual action. Like, I took responsibility for cleaning the kitchen. That is something I fulfilled. What she wanted in terms of accountability was the outcome of either not doing it at that moment, not being on her schedule, or the outcome of like, okay, the kitchen was clean, but that's no longer the issue. The issue is now I am in a space where I am not wanted. I am in a space where this person does not want me here, and this person sees me as an invasion of their space, an invasion of their boundaries. And no matter how many steps I take, or just, okay, this will be good, it was never enough. Mm-hmm. And that is something I had to really think about, because, okay, especially because there's a lot of puritanicalism with people my age. And there's all right, there is a distinction between accountability and responsibility. You can take responsibility for an action and fix it, but it won't alleviate the stress and impact that action, that the outcome has caused, even if you can't take ownership over the outcome. If it wasn't your intent, not regardless of whether it was intention or not. If the outcome was in terms of the kitchen, if the outcome was, okay, the kitchen was clean, but the outcome was I'm still present in that environment, then no one is happy. No one was happy still. And that outcome, the only way I could really take accountability for that situation was to leave. That was the only way. That was the only acceptable form of accountability I could have taken in that moment. And unfortunately, that's the thing I had to force. That was the situation I was forced into. It was a really damaging and really horrible situation that I was in. And it really screwed up, because I was in emancipation already. I was already trying to move away from a previously abusive situation that treated me with the same level of hostility. And I still remember that disgusting child bit years later, because it stuck and it left a significant scar. I was already vulnerable. And I think in terms of bettering oneself and making sure that we limit the amount of harm caused, I think we need to establish what kind of, well, not just broaden the definition of what harm is, but also understand that all right, in our quest for accountability, all right, we got the bad guy, we dismantle this person in power, where this person can no longer cause any harm. Now what? Now it's very much this is honestly a very tricky situation to be in, because this is something I've seen over and over again, that you join an activism group, or you join a group of students, or try to do the right thing. Mm-hmm. And the moment you ask, okay, this is a great idea, what steps are we going to take to make it happen? They scream at you. They use every defamatory language in the book, racist, ableist, the works, and they kick you out of the room immediately afterwards, because because the plan never really came to fruition. It was the idea of, we want to make things better. We want to make this a great community. We want to make this better. The execution behind that idea was not present.
Okay. Tig, I want to see what your response to this is. A comment in the chats by Juliana.
Mm-hmm.
Hope I don't know how to pronounce that. I need to learn how to pronounce that. Anyways, she said, this is a hard concept for someone that's neurodivergent because of the dissonance society puts out. We are taught to do the right thing, yet outcome shows consequences for speaking up. Do you have a response to that?
Yes, that's a really good point. That's a really good point, actually, Juliana. That's a really good point you made, because the dissonance is definitely there. It's we are told to do the right thing, but not really told what that right thing is. And I think that's honestly where things get into the weeds a little bit, because like basically, or like society tells you to do the right thing by being a good person, but being a good person means being a very specific box of person. You can do I mean, from my perspective, the right thing is this is a bit more of a like a neo-utilitarian perspective. This is honestly where it gets into philosophy and whatnot. But for me, what decision can I make to have the most amount of sustainable, beneficial impact in the long term? Long-term, sustainable, beneficial impact. The holy trifecta right there. You need to be able to every decision that I try to make and try to move towards that goal of making things better for the most amount of people, for the most amount of time, and the most amount of impact. So like, because every decision you make has ripples essentially. Because if you're a living thing on this planet, your existence has ripples. And I think that's honestly why I think I get into conflict with so many people, is because that perspective requires completely disavowing the idea of being a good person entirely. Because you can't really perceive yourself to be a good person or a bad person. You have to just perceive yourself to be a person making the decision to have, that's going to, one way or another, is going to have impact. Because if you make decisions because you think you're a good person, well, that kind of puts it, okay, so that means like, oh, if I'm a good person, that means every decision I make is in line with that idea of being a good person. And if a decision you make has an impact that you didn't really see coming, or did not have the impact in line with your goals, then then it immediately goes into cognitive dissonance a little bit. So like, oh wait, that's not what I meant. That's not what I wanted to happen, or that's not what you wanted to happen, but I am still a good person because my intent matters, even though the harm and the damage is done. It's a very, very difficult thing to think about, because I mean, the idea of being a good or bad person is so common, and is a very common mentality. And I think that's where that's kind of where this again goes into history, where that line between like religious ideation and cultural philosophy starts. Because ideas can come from a variety of different places that can kind of bleed into culture, regardless of whether you subscribe to a certain belief system or institution or otherwise. I mean, the idea of like karma, like what goes around comes around, that goes all the way back to Hinduism, but it's still stuck around even if you're not a devout Hindu or have no connection to Hinduism whatsoever. I think that's the thing, the tricky thing with ideas cannot be stopped, ideas cannot be snuffed out, ideas cannot be killed, but ideas can manifest physically into tangible practices. And practices are not just actions, and not just actions that have consequences. Practices are patterns of actions. Practices are a little bit more complex than that. And practices, therefore, can be regulated, can be changed, can be shifted, can be tinkered with. So I think if you're going to be, I think this idea of being a good person or a bad person kind of completely misses the point entirely, because it misses the point because it makes every decision you make a battle for your soul in some way.
Better to think about, I don't know, for me personally, is I try not to be an asshole.
Just try not to be an asshole.
It's not, I don't get to say I'm a good person to somebody else, because there are people out there who think I'm not a good person. I've heard them, and maybe some have forgiven me and maybe some haven't. And I'm also not entitled to that forgiveness. But people are complex, right? There are people who've hurt me, and, I might be unhappy with them about that. But I'm not necessarily willing to do like I used to do in the past and drag their name through the mud, right? Shout from the rooftops what they did, people do things intentionally or unintentionally, and almost no one is wholly good or wholly evil. Most of us are gray.
Yeah.
Not white or black, gray.
Great, yes. And I think that's something we forget, because we're humans. We may be evolved and sophisticated in some ways, but at the end of the day, we are still animals. Animals acting gray all the time.
Yeah,
exactly.
That whole black and white mentality is a part of trauma too. Yes.
Yeah, the black white mentality is a part of trauma, but it's also but it's also kind of a vestige of puritanical Christianity in a way. I mean, the idea of like being a good person or a bad person. Okay, this is something I was really interested in, and I'm going to link this in the description for the clips after this because it's a fascinating video essay series. I think everybody should watch at least once in their lives. This video essay series is called from this YouTuber named Innuendo Studios. Neuro, so if you want to put that in the chat, you're more than welcome to. Innuendo Studios, he made this brilliant video essay around Gamergate, if anyone remembers that, in 2015.
Oh, yep. What's her name?
Anita Sarkeesian, yes. Yeah. But honestly, one of the episodes in the video essay stuck out to me because he basically describes this idea called, well, I'm going to call it I'm going to paraphrase it as the angry Jack fallacy. So, the idea of the angry Jack fallacy basically goes as this: is that angry Jack is not a person or an archetype or a stereotype in any way. He's a condition similar to being drunk. He's the belligerent a-hole many of us become when we feel like our perception of ourselves as a good person is somehow under threat. And I think this fallacy kind of comes into play a lot of it because it's a lot more specific than just cognitive dissonance. It's a lot more specifically to Western mentality and that kind of idea of being a good or bad person. It was interesting. I mean, think of something like a controversy from way back when, before before the world burst into flames. Think of something like, why do people get so worked up over vegetarians? Oh. Or even like someone who goes to a party or a drunk is or go to a bar is like, hey, you want a drink? He's like, oh no, I don't drink. Why? You sober or something? Yeah, I just don't like the feeling. What, you were like an alcoholic? No, I just don't like to drink.
I met this guy when I was the one time that I was an extra for something. At the time I never wanted to be on camera or anything, but I really needed the money. Anyways, he ended up sort of treating me to dinner when I was going through a hard time, but he didn't. He bought me a beer. But he himself didn't drink. And I asked him, I was like, I'm just curious, how come you don't drink? And he said, oh, it's a religion thing. That's all. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. And he said, I really appreciate that you didn't ask if I was an alcoholic. It's like, whoa.
Yeah, because that's the base assumption. It's wait, because it's for so many of us, drinking culture is so ingrained in our society. This, and they kind of get a little offended. It's wait, so this person doesn't drink? Oh, it's a religion thing, or it's a cultural thing, or just I just don't like the feeling. For a lot of people, that angry Jack fallacy comes in because the first thought isn't oh, this person, okay, whatever, don't really think anything of it. The first thought that comes to mind is this person judging me? And if they're not judging me, then they must be an alcoholic, or they must have that issue, this, that, and the third, essentially.
Yeah.
That level, that fill in the blank assumption that comes into play that leads to the series of questions around it. It's it never really occurs to them that, well, this is a normal thing. People drink at parties. This is a normal thing. And this person is just choosing not to be normal, to choose to make themselves stand out, to choose to do something not normal, to choose to purposely make themselves less happy. And that's the dissonance, and that's where things come into weirdness, all kinds of weirdness.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yes. That's someone on Twitch. Hello, new first time chat. Welcome in. That's someone from Twitch. Hello. When you think of the Charlie card experiment, whatever decision one makes, will they ever be seen as a good person? That's a tricky one, honestly, because the Charlie card. I think the Charlie card experiment, it has no good answers. And on its own, depending on, unless you had a whole bunch of specifics and a whole bunch of things, there is no good answer to the Charlie card question. It's would you kill one person and save a whole bunch? Oh, who are the people? Oh, is it your mom and one person? Or is it a friend? Or is it one person a Nazi or something like that? Or the group of people? Just awful. The Charlie card question goes down the rabbit hole, because in order to justify making either decision, you have to determine which side is a good or bad person. That's the tricky part.
Just decided to show the comments on stage because
sweet, yes,
yeah, the backside can see it.
Yeah. That's we have
Um,
our comments on stage because we have our Substack chat and we have our Twitch chat as well. It's wonderful stuff. Yay!
Courtney
But
asked or said something that I like. She said, I think some, not all, but some need others to participate in a vice to validate their own. And I'm like, yeah, I see that.
yeah, I mean, it is it, and the fact that it is considered a vice in order to be like, in order to justify it in a way, the fact that it is a vice, or like the word vice implies that it's somehow sinful and therefore somehow bad or morally wrong. It goes into the whole weeds of it all, and that's honestly the question. It's like, why do we need something to be morally wrong, repulsive, bad for your health, whatever? Why does we need something to be bad in order to justify doing it at all? Like, why does it need to be either good or bad, you know? And I think that's something like a lot of people, like in the United States specifically, have a hard time wrapping their head around. It's like something can just be. It can just be, and that could be harmful to your health, or it could be harmful, or it could be beneficial, whatever. It can just be. You don't need to justify it, you know?
It made me think of a scene in Ted Lasso.
Yes.
Where Ted was trying to call home to wish his kid good luck, and then he realized that he didn't remember his wife's cell phone number. And he asked Beard, is that a good thing or a bad thing? And he said, I think that's just a thing.
It's just a thing. It's just a thing, exactly. And I think this goes into like intent, the original question. It's like, how do we differentiate between intent versus impact in terms of like, how do we know what to do, what the right thing is? And that really goes into question is well, if is what we are doing, like, is a thing, is the action or decision we're making, is it an idea or is it a practice? And learning to differentiate those two things is really important, because if you can acknowledge something as like, kind of like Ted Lasso, if you can just acknowledge it as a thing, then you can acknowledge it as either like a person, place, thing, or animal, like a noun, or you can acknowledge it as a practice. And when you acknowledge it, those things as tangible, as when you acknowledge something as like either a thing or a practice, then that kind of goes into, okay, what benefit is this thing or practice serving to the community or to other people? Is this practice providing benefit in some way, or is this practice causing harm? Is this thing causing benefit, or is this thing causing harm? And that doesn't necessarily make it good or bad. It just makes it beneficial, or is it harmful?
Oh, I just caught the message about Jack. So our scheduled guest this evening, Jack, couldn't make it. He sent a DM saying his husband is sick and he's caring for him. So yeah, we'll reschedule. We'll get Jack again later. And I'm sorry your husband's sick, Jack. I hope he feels better. Hugs to you both.
Oh wow, yeah, hugs you both. Honestly, sickness and health. That's what marriage. Oh my god. What was I saying before? Yeah, it's what was I saying before? Right. So let's get back. Intent versus impact. And okay, so once you acknowledge something as a practice, it stops becoming such a nebulous idea. And this is honestly where it goes back to the bullying example I gave before, because like this idea of well, not even this idea, but like the assumption, if you come to like someone and tell them like, hey, I'm being bullied at school, is like, so what's something that's a common phrase people will tell you? Oh, why do you care what other people think about you? Very common thing. But for me, like I was able to analyze that phrase a little bit more. It's like, you can be aware of the perception of other people. You could be aware, you could be cognizant of the impact you have on others, and the impact other people have on you, without valuing them or caring about them. I think there's like this, if it's a good or bad idea, that's like this idea of being out of sight, out of mind. If I can't see it, I don't care about it, essentially. Therefore, if I don't care about it, therefore it doesn't exist. But that's a very dangerous thing to happen. It's a very dangerous way of thinking, because you can be cognizant of something, you can be aware of something without valuing it or internalizing it or caring about it in that way. And I think that's important. That's an important distinction to make.
I just ate a piece of candy because I need a little sugar.
Sugar.
I grabbed some candy because it's been a while since I've eaten and I didn't have time to grab dinner. So no, they're just little gummies. They're sour. I like sour candy. So little sour candies. Gummies.
Sours, yes. We have another comment question from Twitch. When it comes to whistleblowers, do you see them as good people, snitches, or opportunists?
It depends.
Oh wow, and it's a lot more. It's a lot less than. It's not more than. It's like it's a lot deeper than actually. It depends actually,
If they're
because
going
good people,
on-
snitches, or opportunists, those are not necessarily mutually exclusive, nor are they mutually synonymous with each other.
right.
The idea of like being a snitch or being an opportunist as being separate from being a good person is kind of the problem I was prompting earlier. It's like it's very much like, oh, like why are you telling on someone in power? It's like, oh, are you trying to get something out of it? Like the idea of being a snitch or an opportunist implies a level of deceit, a level of like distrustfulness, a level of snivelity in a way. It's kind of like it seems cowardice. It's a form of cowardice in a way, which honestly is like a very common assumption to have about whistleblowers in many ways, especially like whistleblowers in cases of SA or whistleblowers in case of like serious abusive practices going on behind the scenes that are committed by very powerful individuals or otherwise. When that power dynamic is in play, it can be very easy to dismiss a whistleblower or even someone who asks the question as to like, well, why, or ask the question like, okay, how does this work, or why does this happen, or is this practice beneficial in some way? I think that's honestly a very slippery slope to be in, honestly, because you can't really, like, the term whistleblower is a legal term, and good people, snitches, or opportunists are very, very nuanced, or very, very not even just new. They're actually the opposite of nuance, or just the opposite of nuance in general. They're just labels to slap on someone to either delegitimize their entire argument or delegitimize their actions, their ideas, their credibility, their entire existence, or kind of vilify them into this perfect victim box in order to be like, oh, you have to be a perfect victim looks a very certain way. And that's not always the case. And if it doesn't look that way, then that's where things get into the weeds because, oh, well, I thought a victim was supposed to look this certain mentality. It's not necessarily the case. And I think I think that's honestly where that black and white ideation comes in play again, like the Angry Jack fallacy one more time. Because like, again, this is kind of like an Angry Jack fallacy situation, because on one hand, you could see for like an Angry Jack kind of person, being normal looks a certain way. Like this isn't SA, this isn't abuse, because abuse is supposed to have all these certain factors. Like for instance, like as SA is something that happens in an alley, in a dark alley, by a strange man in a ski mask, or a misogynist is someone that looks like a fat guy, sweaty guy, balding with a wife beater, essentially. But and for historically society, like this is a quotation from like the video essay again. This response to either like a misogynist, an assailant, or an abuser in some way is to shun, shame, or incarcerate them. So in order so that's kind of like that dissonance. Like, okay, if these categories of actions, if these categories of descriptions look a certain way, have a certain description, then someone says like someone tells me like, oh, like an Angry Jack says like, oh, but someone tells me that I did this thing, but I am neither a ski mask dude, a sweaty wife beater guy, then this person is trying to shun, shame, or incarcerate me unfairly, and this person is wrong, which makes this person a quote unquote bad person, snitch, or opportunist, etc. And it really comes into play, like, because when you see when you not even just when you see, but when you perceive like this idea of what a good person or what a bad person looks like, when you assign the word person to it, you're immediately assigning an identity, an archetype, a vision of what that person should look like, and any deviation from that just makes people very confused.
So I'm sorry, I strayed away from the chats for a second.
No problem. I was rambling off for a bit.
Respond to Courtney, what she said there.
Oh yeah, hello Courtney. Courtney wrote, those things are not necessarily mutually exclusive either. They may want to do the right thing and want to benefit from it, for example. Yeah. I mean, too much info too fast. Yeah. Sorry about that, Kimmy. I'll try to slow down a bit. Those two things are not mutually exclusive either. They may want to do the right thing and want to benefit from it, for example. Yeah, that's understandable, honestly. I think there is if you like, especially like in social work or activism work or any other kind of like important work that is often unappreciated or seemingly thankless, there is this expectation like, okay, if I'm going to be helping people, I should be compensated for my work. Being compensated for my work fairly to be able to sustain myself by doing something I care about, by helping people, is not an opportunistic thing to do, and it should not is not a is not a it's not a moral failure in any way to want to be to desire or need to be compensated for doing thankless work oftentimes. And I think this is I think this is honestly something that's it kind of goes into like, oh, what an activist or what a good virtuous person is supposed to do. Oh, you're supposed to do this without any thanks. You're supposed to be a martyr. You're supposed to be willing to die on the cross for your sins, essentially. But that's not always the case. I think people are people, and a lot of these things that need to be done, like doing the right thing and helping people, these are not just nebulous, good, noble deeds. They're jobs, and they're necessary jobs, and they are valuable jobs, and they are valuable professions. But if we're going to make doing virtuous things a long sustainable practice, then that practice needs infrastructure, and that infrastructure requires compensation in order to incentivize people to keep doing it. And if the incentivization is not there, whether it be like smiles and faces or financial or livable or being able to sustain yourself compensation, then that practice, then you're going to have less and less people engaging in that practice, because contrary to popular belief, because fear is not more powerful than positive reinforcement. Fear is often a lot more short-sighted than people realize. I mean, if you want to really sustain someone to go the distance for miles and miles and miles, you make it worth their while and incentivize them with positive and reinforcement every step of the way.
So Kimmy had a question about dreams, or what we think about dreams, but that seemed like a pretty broad question, so I'm kind of asking for a little more specificity.
Oh yeah, and Kimmy had a dip, I think.
Oh, Kimmy had to go. Oh, that's too bad. All right.
Oh. Yeah, Kimmy had to go. Oh my goodness.
Oh, yeah, I see it now. I have to run, pals. Oh.
Too much info too fast. I know.
Yeah, I just discovered a couple more features on StreamYard. I'm like, oh well, this is how you show comments. Oh well, this is how you do this.
Oh, fascinating stuff.
So,
oh my god, we have another comment from Twitch.
Okay.
Like if you have like if you have information about a crime, but you only come forward if reward money is offered instead of doing the right thing from the jump, I have a problem with that. Yeah, that's understandable, honestly. That's honestly kind of understandable, but it also depends on like the context of what that crime entails, you know? Because not even just there's always like the vices, the bad things, you know, like there is don't cry, don't hurt people on purpose, don't kill, don't steal, don't rape, abuse, etc. But if the reward money is the only thing preventing them from doing that, it's one thing to just not come forward without the reward money. It's another thing to not come forward if you're being scared, if you're scared of coming forward, if you're scared of retaliation, if you're scared of some kind of people coming after you. That's a whole other conversation entirely. So I think like reward money on its own is kind of misguided, because like it's one thing to offer reward money in exchange for tips. It's another thing to ask people to dangle money in front of people's faces and risk retaliation if they know something and are scared to come forward. It's like it kind of goes into like the intent versus impact conversation, because if you have money, there isn't enough money in the world that some people are willing to die for. You can have as much money in the world, and you couldn't pay people enough to step forward and be perceived as something that like snitches or opportunistic in that regard. So I think that kind of that's less of a critique on people coming forward and doing the right thing and the bystander effect, and more so of a critique on how we incentivize people coming forward in general, how little trust we have in our institutions that are supposed to protect us, how little trust we have in their ability to protect people that come forward, and their ability to protect people in general. Because if reward money is the only thing incentivizing things to come forward, there's what else you got, essentially. These are people's lives. There's not enough money in the world that people would be willing to die for, you know?
Yeah. Okay, so we're getting close to the top of the hour. So we should probably think about wrapping it up and
Yeah.
thinking
Yeah,
our.
this is a fascinating conversation, honestly.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I'm not able to keep up well today. For a different conversation.
I know this is a fascinating conversation, honestly.
We try to have like our guests do most of the talking, so I'm like, oh, I'm not good at
Yeah.
doing most of the talking.
And I'm a little too good at it, unfortunately.
That's okay. I think that's one of those where that trade was very much needed today, Tig. Because I'm like, crap, I'm my brain's slow.
It was like a Substack TED Talk. This was awesome. Oh my god.
Yeah.
We should do this more often, honestly. We should just have like general like it's like to be considered conversations about like humanity and stuff like that. That'd be fun.
Yeah, we could do that at a different time slot.
Yeah, we could do that. We could have that at a different time slot.
All right, Tig, what brings you joy?
Something that brings me joy. I'm not gonna lie, I had a pretty shit day today. I was crying a lot today. My CPTSD was raging all day today, but something that brought me joy today was after I went before we went live. My neighbor across the hall in my apartment, he like, listen, I just made this like braised like pork belly. You want some? I was like, all right, I'll trade you in exchange for and I'll trade your braised pork belly in exchange for teaching you how to do something on your phone. And it's nice to have like neighbors in my building and on my floor that I can relate to on that regard, but also have a little barter system, you know. It's nice that even if I wasn't like having it today, not willing to talk, I was just not really having it, a lot of pain. Someone's like, hey, listen, it's okay. You just I'll just do your thing. Here, take some, have at it. And it's nice to be, that's something that brought me a little bit of joy before coming online today. And that's something that brought me a lot of joy.
I wanted to share a new doodle I was working on, but it's not showing up on camera.
Shoot.
Sushi and like, I mean, I can try, but you're probably not going to be able to see it so well. But I'm learning new techniques with bubbles and trying
to bubbles
more colorful and pop out a little bit more without actually looking like they're popping. So I was really having a lot of joy with that today. Other than that, it's sour candy. I really love sour candy.
Sour candy is good. You heard right, citric acid. Sour candy is delicious.
Some of them are more sour than others, so I don't want to like eat a whole bunch of them and go I'm on screen. Thank you, Court. So yeah, we've just got like a few minutes left. Next week, where did I write that down at? Next week is June 7th, right?
June 7th, that's the one.
Yeah, okay, we'll have Nieta Green on.
Woo, Nieta Green. Subscribe on Substack to her.
Yes.
We'll put the links in the ad as we promote like the incoming day. Oh yeah, disability democracy, disability community for democracy now.
Yeah, and well, I think another way you can find it is what's it called? Nothing About Us Without Us.
Yes, that's her live show. It's wonderful.
Yeah, I really enjoy Nieta, and she could be a little spicy sometimes.
Yes.
Go.
she's not afraid to push back. That's what I love about her.
And then the week after that, we'll have Aaron O'Brien. I don't know a whole lot about that. I'm gonna have to ask Sushi. And Sharon Rise and Crumble. And then our last Sunday, we'll have Natasha K and A. Evie.
Ooh, yay!
So we've got a really awesome month lined up. And I just realized it's Pride Month coming up.
Pride Month.
Yeah, tomorrow Pride Month starts.
Pride Month starts. Oh my God, it's gonna be it's gonna be one hell of a summer. I'll tell you that. But with that being said, shall we do our shameless plugs?
Yeah, you can find me, Neurodivergent Hodgepodge. Probably already know where I am on Substack. I also just started a Twitch account and a Facebook page. The Facebook page in particular has a paucity of followers, and I have to be on it for like 60 days and have 100 followers before I can live stream to that. Neurodivergent Hodgepodge is also on Blue Sky. I don't have an Instagram yet, but I'm trying to get myself to be more ubiquitous. I'm really bad at cross posting.
Yeah, I gotta share some of my tips with you on that.
One by one, and I hate that.
Yeah.
The live streams are easy because StreamYard, I can just plug them in and done. But okay, you go, Tig.
All right. I'm Tig, Tig M. I'm the writer of Tigology on Substack. It's a little publication I write, which just essentially just trying to figure out how to do the right thing as to what that is, and also new ideas of things we could do to make the world a better place. So that's at Tigology on Substack, and you can follow me on Twitch and YouTube as well. I am branching out on Blue Sky, or if you want to see more of my work that isn't available on the free platforms, you can go to Tigologyverse.com and see all my work there. I'm working toward not just writing on publications, but I'm also working on trying to eventually start a think tank super PAC in the future. And I have a lot of ideas on things to move forward from there. And I'm just always just trying to keep my website up to date as much as I can. And so for that being said, thank you so much for joining this rather unusual episode of Mind Haven.
Oh, yeah. I wanted to say one quick thing that Juliana said. I was feeling restless, and coming into this chat tuned me into a more grounded frequency. Thanks to you, great humans. Thank you, Juliana.
Thank you, Juliana.
The thing that we aspire for, right? In addition to destigmatizing mental health.
Yes.
But we also like to try to be a safe space and to be somewhere that at least helps people feel like they're not alone. At least. But if they can feel a little bit better, that's even better. So
being human among humans, that's what we're here for.
All right, everybody. You all have a wonderful Sunday evening, and I will see you later.
Later, peoples. Bye.
Bye-bye. Oh, wait. I got to close it on StreamYard.
There we go. Hold on. Leave and...
Hey, Sushi, can you do that?